Addy soldiers. If you see like bunching and weirdness on this arm, I got a tattoo last week and the plastic bandage is starting to peel up because it's been a couple days and it's driving me insane, but I can't take the bandage off for at least another day. So it's just, oh, it's getting spicy over here. So if you would kindly ignore that, as well as kindly ignore the fact that my hair looks like something Bridgerton would call historically accurate, we'll be good to go. February in particular, something happened in that month where I read one book, which is basically unheard of. So I didn't do any kind of wrap-up video or like March TBR list because I was just so like not in the mindset to read at all, and I was like, I'm never gonna read again. This is it, this is the end. I might as well cancel my channel. Did a limousine just go by my house? What? But then slowly but surely, as things happen, in March, I managed to get into the groove again, get out of my reading slump, so that was nice. So yeah, I did actually read stuff in March, and I want to talk about it because a lot of it was really, really good. So without further ado, we're just gonna cut this intro real fast, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's jump into the stuff I read in March and like slightly in February. So over the last 2 months, I've read six books. Where's my phone? Don't mind me just fact-checking my own life. Okay, my Goodreads reading challenge says I've read 7 books over the last 2 months. Okay, good. Remember to cite your sources, folks. Okay, well technically in February I read like 1.5 books because I read a book, like singular noun, and then I also read a novella. So let's start off with the book that I read over when I went away with some friends for the weekend, and like that's somehow the only time that I managed to get words in. And that was the delightfully macabre book that was Book of Living Secrets by Madeline Rue. I got an advance copy sent to me by HTC Frenzy, and when I heard about this book, I was like, oh, okay, so Madeline Rue has decided to exploit me specifically when she wrote this. 2 friends who are both obsessed with this one book that nobody else seems to know or can find, and one day they do a spell, kind of as a joke, that ends up projecting them into the book, but like a twisted, messed up horror version of their favorite fantasy book, and they're trying to figure out a way to get back to their world. It was like eldritch horrors having a tea party. Like the video game Bloodborne, but like if librarians planned it. It was Lovecraftian, but without the racism. Like the Hazelwood on crack. Madeline Rue just sweeps you up into this horror cycle, and then it's like from then on it's like, all right, stuff's happening, like keep up, let's go. This is a bit gross, so people that don't like body horror are definitely not gonna like this. Wow, this was freaking cool as hell, but a lot of people die in very gruesome ways. Also, I finished this book like on a ferry in public, and I legit almost screamed at the ending because Madeline, what the fuck? This is bookworm nightmare fuel, and if that's something that you're looking for, you can definitely find it in this. And then the little novella that I finished is The Serpent Mage by Kate Elliott, which was sent to me by Tor. Thank you, Tor. Where our main character is an indentured servant who has the power to light light and fire because of a demon that's like living in her bones, and she gets recruited by the rebellion who's trying to overthrow the king and like kill off the royal family. I read Kate Elliott's Court of Fives series like so long ago, and since then she has written so much, so she has had time to distill her craft. Because the main character is a little bit younger and it is a novella, this is a great beginner fantasy if you want to get into it. However, for me, it was not my cup of tea. I realized when I was reading this that I just don't like novellas. Even though there was a large amount of world building for something so small, and there was a large cast and like a cool plot concept, I didn't connect with anybody despite like things constantly happening. So not for me, but perhaps for you, and if you need to bump your Goodreads goal at all, like this'll do it. Next up is one that I had a very fun time reading and a very fun like experience around, and that is The Circus Infinite by Kan Wong, which was sent to me by Angry Robot Books. When they offered to send this to me, they were like, space gaze, and I was like, yes, I'll take one, and they're like, in a magic circus, and I was like, great, I'll take 2. This centers around our main character Jess, who has this supernatural ability to control gravity, and he's on the run from people who want to use him for nefarious purposes, and he hides out on a pleasure moon and a circus act that takes him on. And we have a lovely found family dynamic and a bit of romance and a bit of circus razzmatazz before, oh, we have to use the circus and all of our combined abilities to take down a crime boss. I got the opportunity to interview Kan Wong for this book, and that was really cool. cool to learn more about it, you know, from the author, from the source. And it was really cool to talk to him about all the detail that he put into this, like Jess being asexual and how he's having a relationship with Beau and like how that dynamic worked, which was so sweet and wonderful. And then a lot of like amazing family dynamic and all of the really cool alien creatures that he puts in this. Like, I love Kush Onar, who is like this praying mantis, but like taller than humanoid praying mantis creature who can like see through space and time. It's wild. So if you like, you can go watch my interview about it, but I mean, I really just have to say space gaze, and like, what more is there to say about this? All right, and then very opposite that, the next book that I picked up was Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is her adult romance debut, and I freaking love this book. It is a sapphic rom-com about Delilah, who's a photographer in New York who gets called back to her small hometown to attend her stepsister's wedding, and when she's there, she falls in love with one of her stepsister's friends, but there's this big drama about, do we even like the groom, and trying to find a way to keep us all together while we're simultaneously breaking apart. This is queer and quirky and artsy and so fun. Delilah is stellar, and if she turned her charms on me, I don't think I would be able to resist either. I made the mistake of bringing this to work and accidentally took a very long lunch break, so please nobody tell my boss. The friendship dynamics were so good, and like the family stuff is like so heartwarming, and The only thing that I felt was a little weird is that there is so much alcohol consumption in this book, and I get that like weddings and celebrations are a time where you drink a lot, but it was like, I felt like I had a hangover when I was done reading this book. Like, are y'all okay? Like, are your liver functions okay? Once I finished this, I was like, well, I need another quirky, fun, sapphic rom-com, so I finally picked up One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. The word that comes to mind about this book is dynamic. This is exactly what it's like to be a new adult. You know, when you're in a new city, maybe when you're nearing the end of your degree, you are trying to make new friends, you don't quite know what you're doing with your life, you don't quite know who you are yet. So, well, actually, maybe the thing about like the time-traveling lesbian is not specifically to like everybody's mid-20s, but if it was and I missed out, I demand compensation. We follow our main character, August, as she falls in love with Jane, who is a time traveler out of time from the 1970s, and we follow their relationship as we try and figure out how Jane got here, how to send her back, and if we actually want to continue on with this timeline. I really appreciated all of the stuff that Casey McQuiston went into about like 70s feminism and intersectionality in feminism, and how gay culture in the 60s and 70s has laid the groundwork for what it is today. It's not only a love story, it's a story about queer found family and the drag community and New York's queer scene, and everything is just so wonderful. I saw someone on Goodreads say that they didn't like this because there's public sex in it right away, and I was like, that's not true. Like, there's not public sex in it until at least page 230. Also, I wasn't expecting to feel so many goddamn feelings. So here's a picture of me at 10:30 on a Wednesday night, just freshly sobbed out over this book. So it was good. I highly recommend it. Okay, second to last is one that I might get some angry comments about, but you know what? I'm gonna speak my truth. So we're gonna talk about Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Yes, I did in fact post pictures on the internet of me having a physical copy of this, and I no longer have that because I took it back to the store. I know, heaven forbid that I, Rachel, a lover of all V.E. Schwab, who has literally like an entire shelf of her books, not like something that she's written. But lo and behold, the day has come, because this was not what I was expecting. I did not think that this book was bad. In fact, I actually mentioned it in my last video on like lower YA, because this is a perfect lower YA. This is about an orphan named Olivia who gets a mysterious letter from a long-lost family member telling her that she has inherited this estate called Gallant. Armed with her mother's journal, she arrives only to find herself in the middle of this family curse that's trying to keep the dark at bay. So it is this darkly whimsical, very lovely book, really reminiscent of the writing in Addie LaRue. And Olivia is mute, so it's really interesting to see how she interacts with her world and how people underestimate her because of being nonverbal. And for the love of all that is unholy, can we please bring back artwork in books? Oh, that is the campaign that I am voting for, 2023. The art in here is so beautiful. I wonder if I can just buy that by itself, because I would wallpaper my house in it. But it just wasn't what I wanted from this book. I thought that it was going to be more in line with Vicious or A Darker Shade of Magic, and it just wasn't. It was a little bit of a lower, easier, younger voice and writing style. So if you want like a ghostly gothic, I would recommend it. I thought it was really nice. It just wasn't enough for me to keep it this time around. And lastly is the book that I just finished yesterday, so I'm just managing to squeeze this into my March wrap up, and that was Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lin Tan. So my last big book haul that I mentioned this book in, I totally butchered the legend of Chang'e and Hao Yi, and that's on me. I've been reading a lot of mythology lately, and I think I mixed some stuff up. So I will leave a link below to the actual story of the Moon Goddess so that you can get, you know, real, actual knowledge, and not from some white girl that's like mixing some stuff up. And ahead of time, I apologize for how terrible my pronunciation is. Here we follow the daughter of the Moon Goddess Xing Yin, who's lived on the moon with her mother her whole life, and when her powers come in a little too fast and strong, she has to escape the moon, and she goes down to the Celestial Kingdom, where she disguises herself and becomes kind of like a companion of the Prince of the Celestials. And from there, she dedicates her life into the Celestial Army in hopes that she can gain a favor from the Emperor to free her mother of her moon prison. We like kind of fall in love, but then also we're like being badass with a bow and arrow. Oh my god, she's so freaking cool. I want to be her. Oh yeah, and then there's some like dragons at the end, which love that. This book is beautiful. The language is just like these sweeping, lovely descriptions of things. The magic is so colorful and so sensational. The middle dragged just a little bit because we were going on every side quest we could possibly do, but also like, ooh, what's that demon up to, you know? Also, a love triangle that I don't hate. It's kind of amazing. And it does make me feel a little better about myself over the fact that like a powerful immortal being from the Celestial Kingdom of the Heavens can also feel imposter syndrome. So yeah, those are all the books that I managed to read in March, kind of February, mostly March. February was the month that I started a lot of those books, and I started a lot more in March too. But I don't know, it's been a bit of a weird mental time where I'm like not quite sure what I want to read, which I guess is the curse of being a mood reader. So I guess April is just gonna be me finishing like 6 books that I read 80 pages of and then ditched. But also, don't feel bad about not finishing books that you start. It's okay to DNF something. You get the Model Who's Read seal of approval. You get the Celestial Kingdom like pardon tassel here for you, just for you. Like literally the like favor that she gets is like a piece of jade with a tassel on it. I'm like, that seems easily forgeable. Please leave down below what you read in March or in February, because like I'm behind for a couple of months. And also leave me your thoughts and prayers that I don't like itch myself to oblivion when this tattoo is healing. It's so pretty, it's gonna look so good, but I can't show it off right now because it's in like a super gross healing state where the plastic's still on. It just looks like I have like bleeding ink. Is that too much? I don't know. Well, it is now mid-afternoon for me, and I think I'm going to make myself some lunch and put on some laundry because that's what real young adulthood is. Unfortunately, it does not involve time-traveling lesbians or magical jade bows, though I wish it did. You know where I clicked like the video, you know where I clicked the subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week.